Okay, let's do it. Let's finish chapter 15. You know what? I'm gonna read you a letter before I start because I forgot to do it in my other class. And this letter I wrote to my son, Asher, when it was his bar mitzvah here. But it has probably heard this letter. No? Have you heard this letter?
I don't know. Now when they hear it, I'm not.
So I was very inspired when it was gonna be my second son's bar mitzvah, and I wanted to write to him something, some thoughts. So I wrote to him this letter, and it says like this: If I could convey to you one very important principle. Wait, that's it. No, now we need glasses. I don't even know that happened. Yeah. Okay. If I can convey one very important principle to you, it is to continually challenge yourself. I was telling my son that if I could give him one advice in life, is to continually challenge himself. The only real competition in life is to compete with ourselves. I live by that. I only compete with myself. Strive to be better, more knowledgeable, seek the ultimate truth in everything you do. Every second Hashem grants us in this world is a treasure to discover and maximize our own potential. We have to fight our own complacency and understand that we must challenge ourselves in order to constantly grow. So what is it? What is really the challenge? It's not, I don't have to be better than the next person. I don't have to accomplish more than the next person. I don't have to be faster or quicker or smarter. It's really the competition is with me, with myself, right? We have a spark of Hashem in us, a real piece of infinity. Therefore, we are limitless. We have no bounds. The only limitations we have are imaginary, shackles we place on ourselves. Seek always to do Hashem's will, touch the infinite in you and soar, and keep on soaring. In the process, you will refine your nature and make of yourself a vessel for holiness. Reach out and touch another human being and make this world divine. So these are my words to my son. And I believe this is what chapter 15 is trying to tell us. Chapter 15, which talks about that there's a big difference between reviewing one's studies 100 times and it's much different to do it 101 times. It's really talking about the one more time that we do something. It's about, there's a story, there's a story that Yemima Mizrahi says. Yemima Mizrahi, you've heard of her? So Yemima Mizrahi is a Torah teacher, is a big Torah personality in Israel, amazing. And she says that when Rebbetzin Kanievsky was alive, that was her Rebbetzin, she asked her once, what should I teach the women? How can I reach these women? How can I motivate, empower women for Torah mitzvot? And what was Rabbi Rebbetzin Kanievsky's answer? It was, just tell them odd centimeter, which means just 1 centimeter. That's all. And I don't think she was talking just about clothing. It wasn't about, 1 more centimeter in your clothing. It was about odd centimeter in everything in our lives. Just 1 more, whatever it is. If it's self-control, if it's giving, if it's patience, if it's 1 more smile, if it's 1 more something in Torah, another mitzvah, something. Today my minutes are counted in the morning. I'm sure everybody's minutes are counted in the morning. And I was trying to like count down. Now, sometimes in life, it's better to like count down than count up. It's like, I have to be here by 10. I have a plane to catch at 3, at 4, and like, I want to exercise. I want to pray. So I said, okay, I'm going to count down my minutes. And I finish running in the beach. I have all my clothing. I have to go take a shower, and I'm waiting for the elevator, and the elevator has taken a long time because they're fixing elevators, by the building I run. And finally, the elevator comes, and of course, what comes out? A luggage. So one luggage comes out slowly, another luggage comes out. I figured, these are like very, they're older people that live there. And they had like another luggage was coming out, another, you see a bent over old man, trying to push a luggage, and a woman, and they have more luggage. And of course, I want to take the elevator because my minutes are counted, right? And I have to go take my shower so I can be here on time. And of course, okay, I put down my things. I say, can I help you? Let me help you. So it's 1 centimeter more. Part of you doesn't want to do it. Part of you says, no, I have to go. They're taking up my time. I have to go. And it's like just one more centimeter, something else that I can do. Maybe I didn't think about it. It wasn't in my schedule, right? But this is what ultimately refines us, right? That's why Hashem scheduled it like that. Hashem makes all of our lives, everything that happens in our life and doesn't happen, is especially for us. It's catered. Okay, so
And you wonder why he climbs mountains.
yeah, well, yeah, this is my son that climbs mountains.
Yeah.
But you know why I wrote this to him? Because this child always has, Baruch Hashem, great abilities. But his Yetzer Hara, even because he came with great abilities, the Yetzer Hara is sometimes he could go into, lazy, or good enough is good enough, because he doesn't have to really exert himself. My first son, everything has been hard for him, everything. And therefore he developed a lot of resiliency. So, it's like everything,
It was hard for him, not anymore.
okay. But yeah, in his life.
For work.
Yeah, but ever since was a child. Right. Okay, but you see, people develop when we have something, our Yetzer Hara or our abilities, they cause us to develop other strengths, which maybe we will never develop them otherwise, right? I was hearing an interview, I whenever I just want my mind to rest, I listen to Elon Musk, his interviews. And he had a very hard childhood. He had an abusive father. And I don't know if it was his father or who, but he got into a lot of fights. And one time he was almost killed from a physical fight. And the interviewer asked him, so how come you're not angry? How come you're not resentful? And Elon Musk answered, people sometimes in these situations, they can get resentful. But it's not always, sometimes to turn the other cheek is more beneficial. And ultimately, he says, I'm a product of everything that I lived. I don't regret my childhood. I don't regret what I lived because I'm a product. And this is true. So to this child, I wanted to tell him, you have this ability, but all of us have abilities. And unless we go and make ourselves to go the extra mile, 1 more centimeter, and because we have a part of Hashem in us, we really, all of us are have a piece of the infinite. So we have that infinity can only come out when we go, let me do one more thing. Okay, that's what chapter 15 is about. Let's finish the chapter here. So I think we're here, right? 101, 101, or are we, did we already do, I don't know.
Yeah. I think
101, okay. So in this book that I love, 101, and it's very impressive that the chapter that talks about, it's not the same to be in 100 as to do 101 times. It's just in the page of 100 and 101, okay? Okay, so it says, my very own, a person would rather have one measure of his own than 9 measures from another, which means ultimately a person will derive more pleasure from the work of his hands, even if it's one measure, even if it's small, than 9 measures of somebody else's product, of somebody else's work. The accomplishments we value the most are the ones we worked hardest to achieve. Okay, the next one, what is the difference between someone who serves Hashem and someone who does not? So the Tanya has its own dictionary, its own expressions. Here, service of Hashem in the present, it means a person that is exerting himself. It's talking about personal effort. A child can come home from school, right? And he can have 100, in mathematics, in science, in Torah, in everything. And then there's a note, there's a grade for effort. And then the effort says C. Everything you got an A, and then effort is C. How does the parent feel when we see that? How do we feel? We feel, you know what? You have to do more. Even though you got 100, but it means that you're really not putting effort. And what is so bad with it? If my child is getting 100 in everything, right? What is so bad about getting a C or a D or an F in effort? What is so bad? Because they're not really pushing themselves to their potential. They're not reaching their potential. Maybe this child can get A+++, right? It's this, and it's not only that. A child can get 100, 100, 100, 100 F in effort. What happens? They get accustomed, right? They get accustomed to not exerting themselves. And that's what's bad. Because what do we remember from school? Do we really remember the arithmetic class that we took, calculus 101? Do we really remember something from school? Or did school teach us a way to handle problems and a way to meet challenges? And how do I face life? Is that what school taught us, right? Because that's what school's taught us, right? It's, I have a test, I have a challenge. How am I gonna do it? Am I gonna like eat my fingers, my nails, or am I gonna be serene and study and study in parts and manage it? That's what school teaches us. So when a child gets an F in effort, that's a red light. So in the Tanya's dictionary, a person that serves Hashem and a person that doesn't serve Hashem right now in this chapter, it's not talking about a tzaddik and a rasha. That's not what it's talking about. It has already talked extensively about that. We have already determined what's a tzaddik, what's a beinoni, what's a rasha. It's not talking about that. We're talking about a tzaddik and a beinoni. They're both in behavior. They both look like tzaddikim. They both are doing the right thing. Everybody's doing the right thing. But the person, it's talking about exertion. It's talking about my effort. Am I putting my effort in it? Am I going the extra mile? Am I going a odd centimeter? Am I doing a little bit more? So the person that is exerting themselves, that is considered a person who is serving Hashem. And a person that can do all the right things, but is not exerting himself, is considered a person that is not serving Hashem. It's a term in the present. Are we together? Yeah, that's what it's talking about. It's talking about the effort. Now, people don't see that. People don't look at effort, right? We look only on the outside. So who can see effort? Who can by effort? Only Hashem. And you know who else?
Ourselves.
Us. That's why I said the challenge is only with yourself. You can be fooling everybody else, but you won't fool yourself. And the change will be, you will notice it, right? Okay. So, what is the difference between someone who serves Hashem and someone who does not? The Gemara asks, you cannot compare someone who reviews his learning 100 times to a person who reviews it 101 times. This is because in those days, in Talmudic days, the standard was to review 100 times. The one additional review beyond what he's used to doing is worth as much as all the other times. Why? Because we said, if something becomes my norm, to go a little bit beyond that, I have to like start the engine all over. It requires a lot of effort. And that's where we grow, right? And we see that, I've given the example last week about weight training, right? And even though we can do weight training and we feel we're doing a lot, next week, the trainer will give us a little bit more. Push yourself, otherwise, your muscles are not working to their potential. You're not building more muscle, right? Okay, so is in spiritual muscle. We're 101, si quieres, Nicole. Okay. Most precious, one must serve God by his own efforts. We're talking about effort, although a person can reach higher when he's led by the hand, right? We can reach higher when we're led by the hand. His accomplishment is more cherished when it is generated by his own efforts. A naturally talented person might be able to easily achieve more than someone else, but the smaller amount that one does by pushing and stretching themselves has more value, right? We can go up a mountain by the, what do you call that, those little cars, right? What is a car? The cable car. But we can say, you know what, I don't want to go with a cable car. I want to walk. I'm going to take a walk, even though maybe I won't reach the peak of the mountain, but it's my effort, right? There's a difference. Okay, if Hashem wants us to do Torah mitzvot, why does he make it so difficult for us with all sorts of tests and challenges? Why couldn't there be a little pill? Maybe one day there will be, right? A little pill and we can swallow and everybody comes to class, we just take a little pill. Oh, we learned it all, right? But it's not considered service of Hashem because I didn't exert myself to learn anything, right? Hashem wants our service of him to bring us the ultimate pleasure and fulfillment. Receiving a gift is nice, but it is nothing compared to the feeling of achievement from something for which you worked very hard. In fact, the harder you work to get somewhere and the more obstacles you had to overcome to achieve something, the more pleasure you will feel when you finally accomplish what you set out to achieve. You know, oftentimes, have you heard some Torah personalities will tell us, when we wish for a world that has no problems, right? And yes, in Mashiach times, it'll be a different world. All the Yetzer Hara will be gone. But they say, when we don't have problems right now, it'll be very, very boring. It's the challenges. I mean, Hashem spare us, but it's the challenges that we have to dig deeper in ourselves in order to be able to handle it in a good way. Okay. All right. A natural. Anytime an undertaking to improve becomes easy and natural, it is time to take on a new one. That one is no longer helping you grow. The Egypt that I left yesterday, and now I am out of Egypt, I'm in freedom. This becomes my Egypt because now when I have achieved, now complacency is like it's pulling me down, right? So we see it with a little child trying to climb the stairs, right? When we teach them, okay, go one step, and they master one step. Now we say, okay, now the next one, because now climbing one step now becomes easy, right? Now go to the next level, right? So in life, everything, that's why we are alive. When Hashem gives us one more day of life, it's because there's another level that he wants us to go, to grow. And unless we push ourselves, so to remain stagnant, that's dying. Okay, so a tzaddik has no inner war with his nefesh habecham. Is the tzaddik has already accomplished. The tzaddik, it's a title. It's a title like the title Paro, because it's a king. It's the tzaddik has already waged the war with his Yetzer Hara, so he doesn't have that war, that inner war that the Benoni has or the Rasha has, okay? So the tzaddik has no inner war. He therefore cannot be called an Oved Hashem. It's not a tzaddik that we're talking about because he's not serving Hashem. He's already called a servant of God. He's wearing the title, but he's not in active duty, so to speak. Okay, because he's not currently in the process of serving Hashem with hard work. Rather, he's called an Eved Hashem. He already became a servant. He's already achieved. Okay, a Benoni is constantly in the midst of an inner war. The Benoni, in the inside, there's a war, right? He always has to fight with his lower instincts. He can therefore be called an Oved Hashem, one who is currently serving Hashem with hard work. It's the titles are a little bit similar, but a world of a difference. Okay, let's go to the next page. And it says, a chassid once approached the Samech Tzedek with a problem. As chassid came to the Rebbe and said, Rebbe, I have a problem. What's my problem? I don't enjoy learning. He was asking the Rebbe, what can I do? I don't enjoy learning. And the Samech Tzedek said, that's great. My problem, said the Rebbe, is that I do enjoy learning. You get the great benefits that come from forcing yourself and working hard to serve Hashem. So because you have to challenge yourself, because you have to fight, because you don't enjoy it, you are putting effort. Hashem is rewarding you. You're growing because of your effort. But the Rebbe says, for me, I love it so much, I'm not putting any effort. It's like an anomaly, but this is what it's talking about, okay? Like once a lady asked me, Vivian, what should I do? Sometimes I'm not inspired to pray. So should I wait? Should I not pray those days that I'm not inspired? I said, no, pray anyways. Because first of all, if we're gonna wait till the day that we are inspired, maybe it's gonna be once a year, I don't know. Yom Kippur, I don't know, right? But when we have to fight with ourselves, prayer is called avoda of the heart. It's the work of the heart. Right? And sometimes we're praying and we're thinking about 10,000 things and this and that, and we have to, okay, wait, which page am I? I have to, that's effort. Hashem rewards us for the effort, and he knows that it's a challenge for us, but we came for that. That's our portion. Okay. All right, so no free gifts. The Alter Rebbe once summoned the young Samech Tzedek, was a little child. I want to bless you with the gift of success in Torah learning, he told his grandson. Imagine, the Rebbe says to a person, I'm going to bless you that you're going to be successful in Torah learning. Great, right? And
how can you be successful in that?
Well, that you can excel in it, that you can learn a lot, that it's going to be easy for you, right? That you can understand. That's what the Rebbe is giving him. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to open up your mind and your heart so that when you're going to study, it's going to be easy. And what does the child say? Thank you, Zaidi. The young boy responded, but I want to receive understanding of Torah, not as a free gift, but through my own hard work. He said, don't give me that blessing. I want to put the effort. I want that it should be my effort. I don't want it to come automatic. That Samech Tzedek, later in the years, he remarked that he should have taken the bracha. He was foolish. Didn't. Why? After all, Torah is Hashem's chokhmah, it's God's mind. God is unlimited. So even if he got a blessing, then he could have learned much, 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 much more, right? After I could have used the bracha to reach great heights and then work hard to go even further, beyond the scope of the bracha. Okay, so let's go to the last story here. And here they're gonna tell us that even in the Benoni, even a person that is exerting themselves, there's different kinds of people. Hashem made different kinds of people. How so? People's natures are different. There are people that are very passionate. Their nature is that they can be very passionate about worldly things. They can be very passionate about spiritual things. And there are people that are called like a cold fish. They're just naturally not passionate. They have a nature that is very parved, very tranquil. They don't have this passion. So for such a person, for a person that is not passionate, if you tell them, my son, you're going to sit and you're going to study Torah, they're going to say, okay. Because they're not passionate about, going into the internet and they're going with their friends and playing basketball. They don't have that. So does that mean that such a person is serving Hashem? Because they're doing all the right things and they don't have that passion, right? So here they're going to explain to us that even though people have different natures, just because you're a cold nature, just because you're a person that is not passionate about worldly things, that doesn't mean that you're being right now serving Hashem. You're just being yourself. Are we together? You're just being yourself, right? Maybe a person that is so passionate about everything and oh my gosh, I want to go to play basketball, I want to go see the world, and nevertheless I get maybe a minute in of Torah a day, maybe a minute in of prayer. Maybe that's more of a service of Hashem than a person that's learning in yeshiva the whole day, but that's because that's their nature. Understand? Chapter 15 is not talking about behavior. Chapter 15 is talking about effort. Okay? Are we together? It's about effort, and different people, it requires different efforts. Like for me, I was raised as a little girl to serve. I was literally raised by my parents to host. That's what my parents did. My parents had an open house. My parents always enjoyed having people. They love people. I was raised, Vivian, come serve them, make this, that. I was born, I was raised like that. So when I host, even if I host 100 people, I can work hard, but it's not an effort. For me, that's not an effort. For some other people, they think, oh, Vivian, how can you do that? When I host 10 people, I don't sleep for 3 days. Yeah, for them, it's an effort. For me, it's not an effort. That's like my nature. For me, other things in life, right, are an effort. For me, discipline is an effort. For me, Gabor is an effort. Those things are an effort for me. But for me, per se, to host is not an effort. You understand? So for some other people, it can be a tremendous effort. Even to host 3 people, 5 people. I know I once had this is a true story. I had a husband ask me to speak to his wife. The wife had a problem that she couldn't host people. She was a germophobic. This is a true story, germophobic. And she thought that people would bring her germs. So she couldn't host people. She didn't want people in her house. And and the husband wanted to have guests. And so he asked me to speak to the wife. So I spoke to the wife, and we were speaking like an hour and a half. And usually you speak to somebody, and after an hour, you say, okay, I can empathize, I can feel for you, you know.
But you need a psychiatrist.
Well, she has been already. She had been already to psychologists. They had done this shock therapy, everything. And I look at her and I say, listen, I'm really sorry. I cannot empathize. Like, this is one area I cannot empathize. I was brought up to have guests. I was brought up, you know, when the guests came in the house, this is like the big blessing is coming in. It's like joy is coming to the house. You know, it's not like I'm thinking, oh no, germs are coming in, you know, they're gonna contaminate me. I cannot relate to you. Actually, it was like, really, it was like, I cannot relate to you. Really, it was like, but okay, we worked on it, and after a few months, I told her, you don't have to have a lot of guests, and I was explaining to her why, in my case, guests were viewed as blessing and not as a curse. And after a few months, the husband called me. They were able to have a few guests. They were very happy. For this woman to open up her house, even for one person, it took a tremendous effort. It took a tremendous effort to work with her Yetzer Hara. Her Yetzer Hara was like strong, was justifying it, you know, germs and this, and to battle that effort, wow, that in heaven, that, you know, it was a tremendous effort. Where for another person to host 100, 150, it's nothing. It's work, but it's not an effort. Understand? That's what this is talking about. And everybody has their area. Yeah.
So if everything is about effort, what if, I don't know, I think it's like a paradoxical, because some people, let's say they take upon themselves doing the fila every morning.
Right.
And they do the effort, but they don't know much, and they discover sometime later that they were doing the wrong blessing all the time. Is it how, okay, it's an effort, but you're not doing what you're supposed to do. The blessing is supposed to have a real effect, that when you say some words, it reaches heavens, but it really,
Yeah. But let me tell you, let me ask you something. When you have a little child, he's just learning how to speak. And he pronounces something, and he doesn't pronounce it in the right way, right? What does it do to the parent? Are you gonna like, oh, you didn't say it the right way, you have to pronounce it? Or is it so endearing to the parent just because the child is doing an effort, that prayer is connection? Prayer is to reach my heart, to reach and connect to God. So if my intention is the right intention, even if I'm doing the wrong prayer, right? Because I want to do the right prayer, but if it's ignorance, I think Hashem is going to anyways accept it. And there's many stories. The Baal Shem Tov tells a story of a little shepherd, and he was like an orphan that hadn't had education. And once it was Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, I don't know, and the little shepherd knew that it was that holiday, and he came to the back of the shul, and when it was time to blow the shofar, the Baal Shem Tov was taking a long time. And like everybody was waiting, and a long time. And finally he blew the shofar. And then people were asking him, why did you take so long to blow the shofar? And he said, this shepherd boy, he came into shul. And he said to Hashem, said, I don't know how to pray. I don't know how to read. I only know Aleph Bet. So I'm going to just say Aleph Bet, all of Yom Kippur. And I hope that Hashem, you're going to put together my prayers. So I was waiting because the angels in heaven were putting together the prayers. And because of that sincere prayer of that shepherd, all of our prayers were accepted. So in life, Hashem is looking at our effort. Yes, of course, the more we understand and the more skills that we acquire, we strive to do the right thing. And of course, we're going to strive to do the right way. But Hashem has made us human beings. Hashem has made, we're not robots. Hashem could have made us angels, right? He didn't want angels. He already has angels. He wanted us human beings that we have to learn everything. Why does a child come into this world and they don't know anything? They literally do not know anything. They need to be taught how to go to the bathroom. They need to be taught, right? Hashem knows that everything for us has to be learned, and it's the effort that we make that is so cherished by God. Understand? So even if we say the wrong prayer, but we have our right intentions, I'm sure in heaven they're counting it. They're counting our brownie points. Okay, so let's finish this paragraph here. It says, Anoved Hashem is someone who does more than just what comes easily to him. Some people are blessed with a studious nature. So they're just naturally studious. They simply enjoy learning. They might be born with very limited worldly desires, or may have worked on themselves to create a second nature of being calm and not easily aroused to temptation. So when they were working on themselves to be calm and not be led by temptation, yes, in that moment they were serving Hashem. But now they worked it out. So now they became like that. They do all the right things due to their nature and personality, and it does not demand any hard work on their part. If such people learn for many hours a day, they are not called an Oved Hashem, a person who labors for Hashem, because it is already their nature to do so. See? So they're doing the right thing, but it's not. It's already automatic. It's already nurture becomes nature. Nurture is I exert myself, like I try, and after I try, then it becomes natural. Okay, in the trying, this is called service of God. When it becomes natural, it stops being service of God. Okay, so it's like a car. You know, a car, when you start it out, it has to do a lot of effort, right? And then you press the gas pedal, it's a lot of effort. But then when you reach your destination, you're already there. You know, so all of this was effort. And then when you're already there, now you have to start out again. Others are born with raging temptations. For some people, they're raging or find it very difficult to focus and learn. They must force themselves to do what Hashem wants against their strong urges and might not always be successful. Yet they are the true Ovdim, hard laborers serving Hashem. This is the beauty of Hasidut. This is the beauty of the Baal Shem Tov. Before the Baal Shem Tov, only the people that were learning, that were doing all the mitzvot, those were like, they were in a high pedestal. And the other people of Israel, all other Jews that maybe didn't have this opportunity or weren't exposed to it or didn't know, right? They were looked down upon. Comes the Baal Shem Tov and he says, no, look at these people. Maybe they don't know how to pray. Maybe they're like the little shepherd, but look how much they want to do it. Look how much they're working on themselves. And it's the Baal Shem Tov that put these people and said, wow, this effort, this is more precious to Hashem. This is real a treasure for God. Okay? All right. I'm going to close this. I want to go into our letters. We're not gonna. Okay. So today we have the Samech. And please, all these Hebrew speakers here, help me out. I'm doing a tremendous effort to learn these letters. I've never learned them in my life. But you know that's why for me it's like so amazing. I've tried to learn Hebrew many years. I know a little bit. I can pray in Hebrew. I don't understand a lot of it, but it's through the understanding the inner meaning of these Hebrew letters that, thank God, I'm getting a little bit more. It's amazing. I brought two of my books that I'm using. So these are two of the books that I'm using in this class. They're amazing, very nice information. More books. Okay, so the letter Samech. What do we see in the letter Samech? We see that it is a circle, right? So all the meanings and all the adjectives and verbs that we can give to our letters, they're all interconnected. Okay, Hashem is speaking to us through the letters. Okay, so Samech is a circle, and it's all about what happens in a circle. So what happens in what is the difference between Israeli dancing that is circular and Western dancing that is just independent, right? So Western dancing is not about myself, because when I hold hands and it's a circle, we become a unit, right? And it's not about how I dance, it's about just the unity, right? The unity takes over. That is the primal, the primal feeling that we have. It's about the unit, right? Whereas Western dancing that is single, even if you're dancing with another couple, it's all about me. Look how I am dancing, right? Or she dances better, or he dances better, or look at those moves. And it's always about the individual. The Samech, it's all about how can we say, the unit. It's about the person giving over individual. It's about the loss of the individual, and now it's the unit. It's the unit that is prime. And where do we see this in Torah? Right? We see this in Torah in the law of 1 in 60th. Right? You know the law of Bitul Bashishim, the law of 1 in 60th. If I am cooking a big pot of chicken soup, right? Let's say it has 60 cups of chicken soup, and let's say I'm holding a baby with a glass of milk in their hand, and 1 cup of milk falls into the chicken soup. If the milk is 1 cup of milk falls into 60 cups of chicken soup, the 1 cup gets annulled, and the 60 cups of chicken soup, this absorbs it. That is the Samech. That is the circle. That's what we're talking about, the circle dancing. The one individual gets absorbed by the unit. You know, like sometimes you see that very much in weddings, don't you? Sometimes there's a person, maybe they came alone to the wedding, maybe they feel awkward, maybe they're not my best friends, maybe I don't know anybody here, right? And so they're like just standing around, they don't want to join the other people in the hora, right? And what happens when you hold their hand? Say, come, right? You hold their hand and they come in, and all of a sudden they're part of everybody. Now they don't feel alone, right? They feel like, because that's the power of the circle, okay? And we see this a lot in the Talmud. They say that there's a lot of this 1 in 60th, right? Say a dream. A dream is 1 in 60th of prophecy. They say about honey. Honey is 1 in 6, as sweet as honey is 1 in 60th of what the man was in the desert, right? Fire in this world is 1 in 60th of what is Gehinom or hell or el infierno, right? So a dream is 1 in 60th of prophecy. Okay, so there's this the circle and also the numerical value of the Samech is 60 because noon that is preceding it is 50, and now after the Yud, all the letters increment by tens. Okay. All right. So the Samech is also about Sovev. What is Sovev? Huh? Surrounding. Sovev. Surround. So they say that there's two parts of a circle. There's the perimeter, the outer part, and then there's the inner part. There's what's outside and then what's inner. But the Samech, the surrounding, it's talking about in spirituality, it's called about the energy of God that is called Sovev Kol. And what is this energy of God that is Sovev Kol Olamim, that is surrounding all of creation? It's an equalizer. This is what we see. It's like an equalizer. As we said, in the Hora, everybody becomes equal, right? In the dancing, everybody becomes equal. But the Sovev, the surrounding energy, it's so freezing to me. Sí, yo no sé por qué. Okay, está muy freezing. Okay. So the Sovev energy is Hashem sustaining creation. So it's also about sustaining. Okay. Huh? I have my water. Thank you. Okay. So, no se apaga. I'm gonna shut this one off. Okay, it'll be okay, fine. Okay, so Hashem sends energy, two kinds of energy to the world. There's one that is equal to all. Let's say a gravity force, the sun, the air, that is sustaining the galaxy. Okay, the planets. This is equal everywhere. This is equal to everybody. This is surrounding energy. This is energy of God that we really can't even fathom, but because it comes from a higher source, and it's surrounding us, but it's also sustaining us. So it's also very comforting for us to know that there's a force of Hashem that is sustaining us, that is giving us, that is holding us, that is sustaining. Okay. There's another energy of Hashem that is called Memale. Memale Kol Olamim, which is to fill inside, right? As we said, the circle has two parts. It has a surrounding part, and then it has this is limited, it's the part inside. So there's an energy of God that has to be tailor-made, catered exactly for each thing to have life. For instance, my water bottle, right? It's Hashem, but Hashem has to have a certain energy to make this glass, and a certain energy to make this plastic, and a certain energy to make this a wood. It has and a certain energy to make me a person, because I'm like only 5'3", but if another person is 6 feet, they need another energy of God to fill them in. Okay, so there's an energy of God that is memale, that is within us, and that is specific. It is specific, like just like a doctor. If you go to a doctor and they prescribe medicine, they can't just give, Sovev. It doesn't mean, okay, everybody take the same amount of dosage of this medicine. It's not like that. Every person, the first question the doctor will ask is, how old are you and how much do you weigh, right? Because the dosage has to be tailored to you. This is memale, okay? In the Samech, we're talking about the energy of God that is surrounding and is equal to all, okay? All right, so also it says that it's the energy of God that is sustaining us, and this gives us a lot of comfort, okay? So, okay, from Sobek, we see a circle, okay? And so it's also talking about the cycles of life. It's about the cycle, it's about reincarnation, okay? Because we all are souls like a circle that are coming back to this world, or coming back to this world. Until when does a soul come back to this world? Until we all get to fulfill the 613 mitzvot. So all of us right now are reincarnated souls. Unless there is a soul of a tzaddik, of a high level tzaddik, those souls are not reincarnated. But the rest of humanity, we are all reincarnated souls. We're coming back because we have to complete a cycle, okay? And we see cycles where we see them in nature. We see there's summer, winter, fall, right? And each cycle has a purpose, and then it brings another one, okay? And we see that also in the trees. All right, so where do we also see, which is the festival, the Jewish festival that represents this surrounding, this Soviet energy of Hashem, this sustaining, Sukkot, right? Sukkot, so we have the Sukkot, Sukkah, right? And it says that a Sukkah represents a hug from Hashem, right? And so the mitzvah in the Sukkah, the basic, most important mitzvah of the Sukkah is what? Just go into the Sukkah, just to be there. You know, it's so important to be in that Sukkah that it says that even a person that needs a Sukkah, they can just go into any Sukkah. They really don't even need the permission of the owner of the Sukkah. Because the Sukkah represents Sovev Kol Alamim, and that is the same for everybody, for humanity. And so just to be in the Sukkah, it's like we are being surrounded by Hashem. We are being hugged. It's like a hug. Okay? It's a hug of Hashem. And just so we see how Hashem speaks to us through the letters. So a Sukkah, a Samech, right? It's composed of 4 parts. Okay? A Chaf is 3 parts, and a Hey is 2 parts, a 1.5, or 2.5, wait, 1, 2.5. So from the word Sukkah, we can deduce how many walls does a Sukkah require in order to be kosher. So we can either have 4 walls, it's like a bear hug, or you can have 3 walls, like, you know, like a noon hug, or you can have 2.5 walls. Okay, so sometimes you can hug a person. You know, a hug is so important psychologically to us. I once read in a magazine, a parenting magazine, it had the picture of a mother hugging a young child. And it said, psychologically for us, it's so important to feel hugged that even when we see a picture of a hug, it has the power to secrete endorphins in us, endorphins in us. It makes us feel good, right? So everything in the physical world has a mirror in the spiritual. So too spiritually, we need to feel hugged. We need to feel that Hashem. Now the saying in English is he has our back. You know, he has our back. He's gonna hold us. He's gonna sustain us. Okay. Smicha, the word smicha. What is the word smicha? What is smicha? Smicha is ordination. Right? Smicha is when a rabbi gets ordained, when a rabbi gets his rabbinical degree. So in the Torah, when Moses is about to die, Hashem tells him the next leader is going to be Yeshua. So please, you're going to put your hands over him and you're going to pass to Yeshua your knowledge, right? It's from this Sove, from this hug, it's like from this, I'm going to give to you. I'm going to pass over. It's like the next cycle. It's going to go, and that's why it's called smicha. Okay, the next cycle. We also see Ruth and Boaz. Remember the story of Ruth and Boaz? Ruth, when she went to Boaz to pick the maser, the lekach and all that, and then her mother-in-law says, now go to Boaz and ask him to marry you, because he was a redeemer for the family. And she goes in at night, and what does she say to Boaz? She says, spread your cloak over me. It's like spread your, it's like give me a hug. You're gonna be my supporter. You're going to extend your support over me. You're gonna be my sustenance. Okay. All right. So interesting, because from the letter nun, this nun is a bent over. It's a person that has fallen, noflim. It's a person that's fallen. Bar noflim, we said last week, is what King David was called, because King David was supposed to die from a miscarriage. Adam Harishon, the first man, foresaw this and gave to King David 70 years of his life. But anyways, King David was called Bar Noflim, the person that was going to fall from a miscarriage. So the nun represents somebody that has fallen. And when King David writes Ashrei, right, the Ashrei prayer that we say 3 times a day. So Ashrei is supposed to be a very happy prayer. Okay, Ashrei has all the letters in the Hebrew alphabet except, you see, from studying the Hebrew letters, I learned this, because I had always learned that Ashrei contained all the Hebrew letters. And now I've learned that Ashrei is missing one letter. So what is the letter that is missing? The letter that is missing is the nun. Okay, King David did not want to put the nun because nun meant somebody that is fallen, and he didn't want to put this fallen attribute in a prayer that is so happy. So what did he do? He skipped over the nun, but in the Samech, because there's one paragraph, one sentence for each letter in Ashrei. So in the next paragraph, he says, he jumped from mem, right? There's mem, nun, Samech. He says, malchutcha, malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha b'chol v'radador. And then he jumps to the Samech, and he says, Somech Adonai lechol hanoflim. So it says like this, the Lord supports all who have fallen. So Somech here is like the Samech. It's Hashem will support all that have fallen. This is what happens in Ashrei. Okay, very interesting. No, I found that very interesting.
Does it have to do anything with the Nephilim that were like?
The fallen, right?
No, but also the problem they call them Nephilim, the people who, like when the gods before Noah, but the gods.
Right. Right. So the giant, the giants. Okay. So what? How do you say this word? How do you say the giants?
Nephilim.
How do you spell it, please?
I don't know.
No. Nun, Fei. Uh-huh.
Yud,
Yud,
Lamed,
right?
Yud,
Yud,
Mem.
Mem. Okay. So the
That's not a
Nephilim.
Lamed. That's not a Lamed. Lamed's after
I'm sorry.
the. Okay.
That's a Spanish language.
Okay. That way. Okay. So the Nephilim are the giants, right? That lived before Noah. Yes? Okay. Very interesting. Thank you for bringing it up. Let me have to write it down. So the Nephilim are the giants that lived before Noah times, right? So who are the Nephilim? Because you're saying that it has to be with the, it has to do with the letter Nun, that is Nophel, that is fallen. So the giants, originally, they came from the angels. So when the generation of Noah has become so corrupt because the generation became mixed, animals and humans, and it affected the vegetables, and the whole world is corrupt. And Hashem is ready to bring a flood. The angels up in heaven, they say to Hashem, you see, the problem with the world is that you populated it with human beings. You know, you wanted to do a test of making a world, but the problem with the world is that you put human beings, and human beings have a Yetzer Hara, and so that's why they became so corrupt. If you would have populated the world with angels, look, we are so pristine, we're so good, we behave so well, you know, that you should have put angels in the world, and then the world would be an amazing place. So Hashem says to the angels, I know that what you're saying is not true. The fact is that if you would become human beings, once you become a human being, what happens? When you touch planet Earth, what happens? The Yetzer Hara, the temptation comes in. And with your pristine nature, and if you have the Yetzer Hara, you're going to be worse than the human beings. And it says in the Rashi that Hashem hadn't even stopped speaking to them, and the angels fell from heaven. That's why they're called Noflim. They fell from heaven, and as soon as they touched planet Earth, they became the giants. Okay, they became the giants because they mixed. They had relations with the humans, and being angels, they became giants. But they became so corrupt, they would violate women, they would rape them, they would, even a bride, they would take and they would just violate, and they became so corrupt, which tells us as much as our Yetzer Tov grows and refines itself, so does our Yetzer Hara. So that's why they're Noflim, because they fell. Okay, thank you. Awesome. Okay. So, okay, all right. Okay. All right, what do we know on the tablets? On the tablets that Moshe brought from heaven, they were made out of sapphire, and they were miraculous. What was the miraculous? Is that they were totally carved. The letters were carved. So usually if you had like a nun that was carved, if you would turn the tablets, you would see the other way, right? The other way. But in the tablets, you would see them the same way, even if the tablets were turned. But there was an amazing miracle also with the Samech and with the Mem Sofit, which are both complete circles, complete closed, that the sapphire, this little piece here, it would sustain in the air. So even though it was totally carved, it was sustaining in the air, which means this Sovev Kolamim, that Hashem is sustaining us. In fact, in the desert, when we carried the ark from place to place in all the different encampments that we had in the desert, it said that people would raise it, but the ark would carry them, right? It was Hashem is here, but we can't see it. If we really do mitzvot the right way, they're going to be light on us. So this is the Sovev Okay. All right. So we also have the first Samech, and we know that in the Torah, there's many times, not all of them, but many times that one of the letters will be written in a big form, in an enlarged form. Where is the time that we see a Samech that is enlarged? Is in the creation of Chava, when Hashem took a rib from man, and it says, Vaizgor basar. What is the word isgor? To close, right? To fill, to close. So the Samech in Vaizgor is enlarged to tell us that Hava, Eve, was taken from man, but it was really to complete man. And so we see from the Samech, also we see that it completes us. Okay, and we see that that's really the avoda, the work that a woman came. It's to complete the man. In the Talmud, a single man is called a half person. He is incomplete, right? So what did we come to complete him? Because it says that when a man is going the right path, the woman should encourage him. But if the man is going in a path that is not correct, the woman in her womanly way should try to correct the man. And as we know, there's a story in the Talmud of a woman and there was a couple, and they were a man and a woman that were tzaddikim, right? These were tzaddikim. They were married for 10 years and they couldn't have children, so they divorced. After 10 years, they both marry Rashai. So the man that is a tzaddik marries a woman that is a Rasha, and the woman that is a tzaddiket, marries a man that is a Rasha. After 10 years, what happens? The man that is a tzaddik that married the woman that is a Rasha, he becomes a Rasha. And the woman that is a tzaddiket married a man that is a Rasha. After 10 years, he becomes a tzaddik. So the woman came to complete the man. It says the man is the head, but the woman is the neck. Wherever the woman will take the man, that's where he's going to go. Okay, so really, it's Ezer Kenegdo. Really, we came as an opposite helper, which means that we need to look at them objectively and try to go the right way. Okay. All right. So we also have from the Samech the word simanim. What are simanim? Huh? Signs, right? So the sign that is also signs is, so it says that in the Torah, there's many simanim, ways to learn Torah. Some of them, one of them is the gematria, to see like even the letters, to see there's different gematrias. There's also atbash, how to, sometimes you can replace the first letter, which is aleph, to the taf, and that also has corresponding meaning, and the bet to the shin, and then gimel to resh. So by switching letters, also there's connecting. Sometimes in the Torah, they will have a story. Let's say the soldier that went off to war and he fell in love passionately with a woman in the war. And then what comes next in the Torah? Comes the paragraph of the rebellious son. It says what happens when a man has two wives, and one he loves and one he doesn't love, and then he has two sons that are older, and then one becomes the rebellious son, and then ultimately the rebellious son becomes a drunkard and a thief, and then he has to take him to court, and then finally you have to kill him. So The fact that these two things are one next to each other, it's a siman. It's a sign that Hashem is talking to us and telling us these things are related. In the Torah, when something is next to each other, it's related, and it's telling us if a person is going to choose who they're going to marry because of passion, because of a carnal passion, the product is not going to be a good product. That's what it's telling us. So be careful with your, this is what happens when people meet each other in a bar, in a discotheque, and the music and the lights, and the next day they say, oh my gosh, what did I do? Right? Okay. We have the word siyum. And in the siyum, it's when somebody finishes a tractate of the Talmud, and they make a seudah, which is also with a samech. And it says in the siyum, there's two kinds of people. There's one person that studied and is finishing a tractate, but everybody else gets the merit from being there. So wait, what we said about the circle, one person made the effort, but everybody else is also getting the mitzvah. We see this in Erev Pesach, where there's the fast of the firstborn, and the firstborns have to fast. But if they attend a siyum, what happens? That breaks the fast. So even if I didn't study the Talmud, but I went to the siyum, I'm part of this circle, I'm part of the Samech, and the Samech has the power, as we said, in 1/60th, to hug me, to incorporate me in the whole. So I get the mitzvah of just being there. Okay, ladies, I hope you enjoyed. Okay, and I wanna write down what you told me earlier. Yeah. Okay. Hola, Linda. Okay. Es que te guardan aquí. Inval, I hope you enjoyed. ¿Va acá?
Sí, por favor.
Aquí.
Sí, gracias.
Okay. Here?
Yes.
Okay.
So you wrote your
Just
name.
your name.
Oh.
¿Dónde, mami?
Al lado.
¿Esta?
Sí, esa. Y luego la de abajo. Esta. Ok. ¿Cómo estás? Bien, ¿qué tal? Sí, bien, sabes que ayer, no, yo lo firmé aquí en tu librito.
Pónmelo porque me gusta y no sé si tengo tu teléfono. No me lo pongo.
¿El mío?
Sí. Ay, ¿cómo estás?
El libro que te conté de la... ¿Dónde lo pongo aquí?
Sí.
De las letras de video.
Sí, lo compré. Sí lo tengo.
Gracias. Gracias.
No lo entiendo mucho, pero
Sí, también me costó.
no, es un poquito.
I bought the free.